ABC News presentation.
Good morning and welcome to our Friday edition of A View from the House. I'm Kokelitanda. In our program this morning, we talk to the chairperson of the Energy Portfolio Committee about a panel discussion on renewable energy here at Parliament yesterday afternoon. We will also be joined by the MEC for Community Safety in the Western Cape to talk to us about the proposed bill on community safety in the Western Cape province. And then we turn our focus to green matters when we recap on the International Environmental Day earlier this week in the National Council of Provinces. Yesterday evening, the Portfolio Committee on Energy hosted a panel discussion on renewable energy procurement for independent power producers. The committee began these dialogues on renewable energy in November last year when the discussion centered on job creation in local manufacturing within the renewable energy sector. There was another meeting in January when the panel scrutinized the management of strategic fuel stock options in South Africa. To talk to us about this series of panel discussions and its outcomes, we are joined in the studio by the chairperson of the Energy Portfolio Committee, Mr. Sisa Njikelana. Good morning, sir, and welcome.
Good morning, Mr. Ntanda, and good morning to the viewers as well.
Mr. Njikelana, this is your third panel discussion on energy issues. What are the objectives of these panel discussions?
In the main, the objective of these panel discussions is to advance one of the core objectives of Parliament, that is to facilitate public participation and involvement on issues of national consideration. So, as the Portfolio Committee for Energy, we are playing our bit in our own area of competence, which is energy.
Before we go to last night's meeting, let's quickly look at the January meeting when the panel discussions on focused on management of strategic fuel stocks in South Africa. Your statement said that stakeholders were raising various concerns. What were those concerns?
There was a variety of inputs. For example, the South African Petroleum Association raised issues around the state of their refineries and the need to have them upgraded in order to accommodate cleaner fuels. The particular emphasis and concerns from them was the amount of money that was needed to do the upgrading, which is at about 39 billion rands, and obviously it was, where would that come from? Government on the other side was also concerned that the fingers were pointing at them to fork out that 39 billion rands. At the same time, the government was committing itself that it was going to create an adequate regulatory framework or improve it in the arena of refineries and the liquid fuels. On the other hand, very interestingly, there were diverse views because the spokesperson of the black-owned, petroleum companies, Mr. Lomo, not necessarily a formal spokesperson, but he articulated an interesting scenario that black-owned, oil companies are still struggling to penetrate the oil industry, to be able to import oil on their own. And generally, he was also very uneasy and critical of the transformation in the oil industry.
And you as a committee, will you in any way be doing follow-ups and addressing the frustrations expressed by both by sectors, the black people who are involved in the industry and the whites in the industry?
Definitely. Number one, in 2010, this very Portfolio Committee for Energy held public hearings on the liquid fuels charter. And the very thing that is still raised by black-owned oil companies was raised sharply there. In fact, there was evidence that there has been very little, minuscule transformation in the liquid fuels sector. And we are still expecting the department then to come back to Parliament with a revised liquid fuels charter. So in a sense, our role would be to ensure that at the end of the day, a revised liquid fuels charter, which I would say has more teeth and is more assertive to ensure transformation of the liquid fuels sector, is put on the table and adopted, and not just adopted, but implemented in future.
Mr. Njikelana, there is an oil boycott of Iranian oil, and this week we learned that Nigeria will not sell sweet crude oil to Petro SA, and they prefer government-to-government transactions or deals. Do we have enough stock of oil if there could be problems with our imports?
Insofar as the Department of Energy has updated us from time to time, we have adequate reserve stocks in Saldanha Bay.
Coming to yesterday evening's panel discussion, what was on the agenda?
A very interesting topic. As you may well know, that the government through the Department of Energy has started procuring renewable energy from independent power producers as from last year. So what we facilitated last night was to get a feedback from various stakeholders about the first window or the first phase in this procurement process. What we then got was obviously, first of all, an input from the department as to the process as a whole, how it took place and lessons learned. And also we got various inputs from the Black Business Council, for example, and the Renewable Energy Council, as the South African Alternative Energy Association, as well as the International Energy Development Institute. All of them were articulating various issues regarding the impact, or as I would say, lessons learned from the first window of the procurement.
Now that you have those inputs from stakeholders and the update from the department itself, what is going to happen to those inputs?
Whilst these may be stakeholder meetings, even from the first one from last year, we obviously are going to scrutinize them and ensure that any issue that requires the attention of the department is referred to the department. That I can assure the public on that. The issue of job creation, the concerns that were raised there, the concerns that were raised in the January meeting in Durban around from the black-owned companies, as well as from the Petroleum Association itself, all those issues will definitely be referred to the Department of Energy once those reports are adopted by Parliament for the consideration of the Department of Energy. Although obviously the Department of Energy was present in all those meetings, but obviously we as Parliament, or we as a committee on behalf of Parliament, have got to play our role to ensure that those issues are submitted formally, and definitely down the line we'll then once again revisit them and check whether the extent to which the department has responded or taken on board those issues that may have been raised, either concerns or even recommendations to advance whatever issues, because it's not just concerns at times. Sometimes it's suggestions as to how to improve the very issues or tasks or programs that are on board. For example, yesterday, in spite of the fact that there were some criticisms, but also the various stakeholders were commending the government through the Department of Energy of having firmly and assertively taken up the renewable energy area, and also a number of ideas were put on the table for the Department of Energy to consider.
Finally, Chair, are you not concerned that there is still lack of transformation in the industry 18 years down the line?
As I say, I'm smiling. I'll say philosophically, it's an ongoing process. On one side, you see the renewable energy sector as sort of the latecomer, having made a slow start, but from what I sense from the key players, particularly the industrial players, you know, they seem to be getting encouraged by the way the government is going about, you know, articulating and implementing its program on renewable energy. But on the other side, you see in the liquid fuel sector, there's still a lot of frowning. I'm sure if you had more time, I would go to town explaining the concerns from the Fuel Retailers Association, from the fuel wholesalers section as well. So it's a mixed bag, you know. But our duty is to ensure that all stakeholders are brought, you know, on board, and we ensure that transformation in a balanced way, you know, becomes a reality in the energy sector. There's still a lot to be done, that I concede.
There's still a long way to go.
Yes.
That is the chairperson of the Energy Portfolio Committee in Parliament, Mr. Sisa Njikelana. Thank you very much for coming through, sir. And we'll go for a comment.